But moving on then, one of the benefits of doing online gatherings like this is that folk from further afield can join in. And our second presenter this morning, Jan Robitscher, joins us today from the west coast of the US, where she's lived for over 30 years. I gather it's between 3 and 4 in the morning there, so I'm not sure whether Jan is up very early today or whether she's not yet finished yesterday. Jan is originally from the east coast of the US. She has degrees in music and liturgy and a Master of Divinity. She's now an instructor for the Episcopal School of Deacons in Berkeley, California, teaching homiletics. And she's very active in St. Mark's Episcopal Church, where she sings in the choir, she's a lector, and she helps feed the hungry once a month. And she says that she loves music, especially early music and hymns. She loves art and photography, even though she has low vision. And she loves history and enjoys walking with her wonderful guide dog, Veronique. Her subject today is the Berkeley connection, the story of St. Mark's, Berkeley. Jan, we are so glad to have you with us and eager to hear from you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I'm glad all the technology is working. Good morning, and thank you to the Hymn Society of Great Britain and Ireland, Martin, Ken, Jillian, Janet, and everyone else who has helped make this presentation possible. I came across the topic of the hymn, What is the Crying at Jordan, in a circuitous way. I live in Berkeley, California, and there is a connection between both the city and the University of California at Berkeley and Bishop Berkeley. Yes, the pronunciation was bent for American ears, and Berkeley, California. A short walk from my home takes me to Founder's Rock. Historian Daniela Thompson writes, on this outcropping, 12 trustees of the College of California stood in 1860 to dedicate property they had just purchased as a future campus for their college. In 1866, again at Founder's Rock, a group of the College of California men was watching two ships standing out to sea through the Golden Gate. One of them was reminded of the line by Bishop George Berkeley, "Westward the course of empire takes its way," and suggested that the town and college sites be named for Bishop Berkeley. Without going into his entire biography, let it be said that Bishop Berkeley was primarily known as a philosopher, and after visiting the castle on a choir tour, Berkeley Castle, several years ago, also we learned that he was something of an eccentric. Now, what does all this have to do with the hymn, What is the Crying at Jordan, and its hymn tune, St. Mark's, Berkeley? Norman Mealy was choir master at St. Mark's Episcopal Church, Berkeley from 1947 to 1960, and professor of liturgy and music at Church Divinity School of the Pacific, Berkeley, from 1952 until his death in 1987. Norman and his wife, Meg, also a musician, were working on a folk tune and searching for an appropriate Advent text. They approached poet and hymn writer Carol Christopher Drake, her name of choice. In a recent interview I was able to have with Carol, she said the text came to her quite suddenly, and it is her favorite. It is a prophetic text, though more gentle than those set to those marvelously strong Welsh tunes and others. I would like to sing for you the first two verses. What is the crying at Jordan? Who hears, O God, the prophecy? Dark is the season, dark our hearts and shut to mystery. Who then shall stir in this darkness, prepare for joy in the winter night? Mortal, in darkness we lie down, blind-hearted, seeing no These two verses pose the question, what can shake us out of the lethargy and even despair that physical and sometimes mental and spiritual darkness of the Advent season can bring? And I would say especially in this season and maybe era of COVID. I did the singular honor of visiting Carol and interviewing her about this hymn. She is 88 and wrote the hymn almost 50 years ago. Yet it remains fresh in her memory. She said the music, a haunting Irish melody arranged by Norman and his wife Mag Mealy, also a musician and composer, inspired the words, adding, the words just came. To this, I would add that their collaborative effort produced an Advent hymn that I believe will be here for a long time. I only wish more people knew about it so it could be sung more often. The last two verses give us the answer, nothing less than the incarnation itself, filled with joy and terror, and ending with, God gives himself into our lives, oh, let salvation dawn. Here is the prophetic voice calling us to see the branch that begins to bloom, even in the darkness of our lives in the winter and Advent seasons. Lord, give us grace to awake us to see the branch that begins to bloom. In great humility is hid all heaven in a little room. Now comes the day of salvation. In joy and terror the word is born. God gives himself into our lives. Oh, let salvation dawn. I wanted you to see the interior of St. Mark's as we have it for Advent. The altar and out of view the pulpit in a picture that you'll see in a minute. And their paraments and vestments in this set were hand painted, including little bees among the flowers. And that was the slide that you just saw. We have a Flentrop tracker organ originally installed in 1971 and updated in the 2003 renovation. We believe the window is a Tiffany, but we don't have the documents to prove it, I think. We have a variety of stained glass in the church, and it's very interesting. Here is the exterior of the church. Built on the site of a smaller wooden church, it survived the great 1906 earthquake, fortunately unfurnished at the time. The interior was most recently renovated for our 125th anniversary in 2003. I really should say refurbished. They didn't rearrange very much. And this is a stock photo kind of looking out to the bay from the East Bay where I live, toward the west. And here I am with my wonderful guide dog, Veronique. The mosaics behind us and their connection to St. Mark's are a whole other presentation that I have made. And this slide I took. Thank you for letting me share with you the hymn, What is the Crying at Jordan? When I spoke with author Carol Christopher Drake, we agreed that we both love the Advent season the best, not least for its mix of longing and hope, and for the most beautiful hymns. Thank you very much.